Okay, I finally finished it. This is a report on starting or expanding a business in the Bronx. And actually, I hope you watched the other video first I had before you got to the report section, because that tells you about what life is like now with so much information on the internet. You can't find anything you really need on the internet, and that's what I do, is really go through those, literally millions and millions of websites and boil it down to the ones that are most important for you to start the business. But then there's a lot of technique that you have to learn after that. And that's what the first video is, because it becomes more of a people business and finding the real good stuff. So this is what will start you after you finish that. So watch that video before you do anything else, and maybe even before you do this. But either way, it doesn't matter as long as you got both in your head. Okay, let's go. So after you watch the introduction video, okay, what we first going to, this is actually going to be two different videos. See, the first section will be on local programs, state programs, nonprofit organizations, and then the second part is going to be on a lot of, well, the federal stuff will be there, but also more importantly, it's going to be what's on the internet. That's the stuff that's growing and terrific, and I think it's a whole new ball game and makes starting a business better and easier for all of us now. So let's get started. Okay, first, local and government nonprofit organizations. Okay, yeah, you live in a unique area there in the Bronx, because it's sort of like, I didn't realize the county is New York. That's why you have Manhattan and Bronx and everything. They're sort of like cities in the county, but it's all seemed to mesh in the one up there. But let's go there. Well, actually, first, I put a few videos here in the beginning that show if you're at all skeptical about the government really wants to help me. Well, these are videos of government officials and industry watchers that tell you, that I've interviewed, that show you and bring home the point about why they want to help you. This is why they're in business. If they don't help you start a business or get a job or something like that, they'll be out of business because you won't vote for the people, right? So that's why these programs are here, and they drive home this point. And this is why and the reason I do this now for small business, because I used to do it for Fortune 500 companies, and I want everybody to know about this stuff, not just the fat cats. They're going to find out. I used to charge them tens of thousands of dollars to get this kind of stuff. Now they're no fun to work with. I'd rather work with small business and just folks trying to get by like I am. Okay, so that's those first three videos. But now what you have in the Bronx there, part of New York, is a one-stop city hotline for starting a business. So if you look at that website or whatever, that's, it boils down to basic problems. And remember, technical help is always free. You don't have to go on the internet and buy some expertise. That you can get for free on any part of the business. And that's what I'll show you here. And that first item I have here about NYC Business Express. You look around on that, you'll see any kind of technical help, anything you need, filling out forms and stuff like that, they're there. And now here, the second one is even better, I think, because this is the Small Business Development Centers. See, these are people, and this is the one in your area, they're all over the country. They get grants to help you for free. I mean, they're usually at the local university or somewhere like that. So these are high-powered professionals that if they weren't professors or not getting that grants, they'd be charging the $300 an hour or whatever to do this, because they'd be working for Booz Allen or one of those big consulting firms. But they're free. And I have a video there that interview one of these people that do this kind of stuff. So you see that this is real. I'm not making this stuff up, but it takes effort on your part. I mean, I'm doing half the work now. You got to do the half work after you get this. Okay, now here are the money programs. Okay, now the New Market Revolving Loan Fund. They have a special pot of money set up for new businesses that start up, and it's a revolving loan. See, new loan. Okay, and then there's $35,000 grant for placing your business in a certain area of town. See, that's why there's always if, ands, or buts on all these things. I have a link here and information. You follow up and see what it is. Small business access to capital at bargain rates. See, what the city does is work out things with banks, and so they kick in money so you don't have to, and so you get better deals on that. Here's $750,000, New York, for startup entrepreneurs. So that's what you are. You're starting something new. That's called the entrepreneurial front. Up to $2 million for people to start a business. Man, I mean, that's something that's crazy. Sure, you're not going to get a check by next Tuesday, but you got to start learning the system. And that's what it's all about. Learning, learning, learning. Okay, up to $4 million for established small business. Oh, you're not established yet, but you put this aside. You'll need it later. See, that's what all this stuff is about. You may or may not use these items right now because you're not really sure. It sounds like where you are in the development of your business and whatever. But as you grow and as you do everything, then you'll say, hey, oh yeah, that could help me now. And you're 2-3 months down the road. Okay, cash rebates for buying energy-saving devices and equipment for your business. So just think about that when you start buying stuff. $9,000 for hiring unemployed workers. That's right. There's a whole listing there. The kind of people, you get $9,000 to hire them. Now it's in a tax credit, but we all have to pay taxes, right? So you're going to pay late. And that's what Donald Trump doesn't pay any. Because he found deals like this where he made them himself. Okay, now here's $10,000 to $400,000 to train your employees. I mean, that's what people, and there's a grant. There's money you don't have to pay back. So even yourself, check out, because you need training maybe for something to start your business. Well, check that out with them to see if you could get that training. Use the money. Or you hire somebody, you want them to know, some aspect of computers or customer service or anything like that. See if you get the money for that. Small business loans with no fee checking accounts, with no income. Right, now look at this. Look at this closely, because this is terrific. These are nonprofit organizations now. They give you a loan, and then they have checking accounts for 0 fees. And you don't need an income, you don't need a credit history, and you don't need collateral. So they'll give you a loan. Nobody else will even make a meeting with you, and they'll actually give you a loan. I mean, it's an incredible organization. They used to be in underdeveloped countries doing this. It's the Premier Bank is the name of these people. Now they do it in the U.S. because there's people here that don't have good credit. Or no credit, don't have collateral, but still want to start a business. And so they worked out a way to do that. So they're terrific. Okay, here's small business loans at 0% interest. Now, where do you think Bank of America is going to give you a 0% interest loan? Nonsense. Chase and all these guys, they're not doing it. And that's why most of these, that's why they're in business, to get as much money as they possibly can for stockholders, right? So they'll bleed you to death. See, these people, they're usually nonprofits that are working for the community. So we as a community are trying to grow, so help each other out, and they're not as bloodthirsty as the Wall Street people. So that's why particularly small business, check them out. Seed funding and consulting for small business from Fordham University graduate students. So here you get grad schools, MBAs. You can never afford to hire these kids as soon as they graduate, right? But they have as much knowledge now, and they're trained with professors and whatever, and they help you develop your business. See, these are the kind of places you want to go in the beginning, particularly if you're not really sure about how your business is going to run or what to do. You just have this dream in your mind. Hey, I want to do this goddamn thing. I'm not really sure. I know I need money, but you don't know what else you need. That's why these organizations that I just talked about, particularly the Business Development Center, that's where you should be going first. Just make a call, make an appointment, get down there, talk to them before you start really knocking on doors for money, because you don't really know what you need now. And these people will help you figure out what you need and get the financial statements for you, and help you work them out if you need them. Some of them you don't even need financial statements, particularly when we get down to crowdfunding, and that becomes even easier. So you want to think through the idea. You don't want to go running around for money because you don't even know what the hell you need, in the beginning. At least I don't. You have to learn the business first. So you talk to people who will help you think that through. Later on in the second half, we're going to talk about meetups. So you could go and meet people who are already in the kind of business you want to get into, and they tell you how they did it. Now that's a really good way, see? And otherwise, you're going to search the internet, try to find people who are experts in this, and they're going to charge you hundreds of dollars an hour or whatever the hell it is. You don't have to do that. Don't do anything. Okay, let's go through some more of these things. $400 to $50,000 loans and one-on-one counseling for entrepreneurs that have little education, little English, and little business experience. Boy, that sounds like me, because my English teacher flunked me in college. So that sounds like me to a T when I started out. I had no business experience, little English, and barely got through college. And that's available. Okay, sliding scale fees for financial and management consulting for minority businesses, because this is a group that gets money from the government to provide these services. Here's other free legal help and financial services from pro bono partners. See, that's what people are really out there trying to help each other. But they don't have advertising, so you don't find them. When you use Google, you're going to find the people selling you stuff. So that's why these are important to do, and that's what I do. Try to show you these people. So here, free legal help, free financial services. Wow. I mean, that's it. Okay, get small business loans with no credit history or guarantees or collateral. And we had another one like that. See, these are the kind of people you want to check in with first. Unless you need $200,000 or some ridiculous big bucks things you want to start. Or here's a nice nonprofit that helps you start a daycare center in your house. Wow. So that's a great idea. And that's a nonprofit. Okay, here's got $8,000 to train for a new school or your employees, and I have videos of people from the government who give out that money so you could see that this is real. And that's what it's about, knowing it's real. Now here, a lot of people don't realize you get free money to live on while you start your business. And this is your unemployment stuff. And every state doesn't have it, but you can check your state. I'll show you where to check it here. And then I give you a link to the Department of Labor in Washington, D.C. If people don't know what the hell you're talking about, say, hey, this is the program I'm talking about. Because that's the problem. The bureaucrats themselves don't even know what they have. Okay, check you with your business librarian. Your business librarian there knows so much about this stuff because they get questions all the time and they're answering. And they know what's local. So it's hard to figure out what's local when you Google on the internet, but they know, and they know these little nonprofits or whatever. So that's a help. And they have just ask a librarian. There's something you could text, you could call, you could email, and you got a question. Hey, where do I find this? Where the hell is this? Whatever, and see what they come at. It costs nothing. And here actually, if you want to start a business on the internet, like a store or something like that, a lot of these libraries, I don't know where you are if they do that. But I have a video of a librarian say they're starting to do this all over the country now, where they'll sit down with you if you're not computer friendly enough. They'll help you set up your store. You make an appointment and you sit there, for a half hour. It takes nothing to do that on the internet nowadays, and so they'll help you do that in the internet. It's all free. That's what's neat about it. And actually, your library has access to 2 databases on grants. Now these are grants mostly for nonprofits, but they're also for personal. They have a database of 10,000 private grants for individuals. Then they have another database of 140,000 grants for that are given out to organizations and mostly nonprofits. Some are business, and they say that the 10,000 for individuals. But see, the database is very expensive. It costs you up to $1,400 for the year to use the database. But through the library, you can get it free. And the researchers at the library know how to use it. So if you walk down, find out if they have it, call ahead of time, go down, and they'll sit down with you and show you how to find what you need in these databases. I mean, that's what I used to do. And then go and get the information and charge my Fortune 500 clients tens of thousands of dollars to do it. And actually, where you live too, parents and guardians of public school kids can get free Wi-Fi spots for home. The hot spots, the Wi-Fi hot spots. So they give them out to the library for free. So check with that. Okay, state. Now, there is so much at your state government. It's embarrassing almost. It's amazing. I mean, I looked at California. California's nowhere near this. So it's very small business friendly. That's why those 3 videos in the top are important to make you realize that this is what the government's there for, is to help you start a business. Okay, directory. This is a directory you can download now. They have all the small business programs. I got them here too, and they have. It's a little jumbled the way they have it, and it's hard. There's no links, stuff like that. Okay, you can operate tax-free for 10 years. tax-free for 10 years. Doesn't make much difference now if you didn't even start and don't have a business, but when you start making money, man, and tax rate is like 15% on the first 50,000 or something like that, and then 30% or more. So you can get rid of all that. $15,000 in working capital for small business with less than 50 employees. $15,000 working capital. That means you're not buying equipment. You just need to live, man. Micro loans for businesses who can't get money elsewhere. Sound like you? Boy, it sounded like me a lot of times, I'll tell you. $25,000, $250,000 grant for marketing your craft beer. That's right, marketing money. If you're making beer down your basement, look, you get up to $250,000 to sell that sucker. And that's grant money. You don't have to pay back. Who would have thought? Money to develop a business, buy land, equipment, inventory, and train employees. There's a program that grants to start nonprofit or for-profit organization. Grants for businesses in certain zip codes. 24 local free entrepreneur assistance centers. Check that. Find one year. These are entrepreneur assistance centers. You're an entrepreneur trying to do something. You need assistance. We all need assistance. Okay, tax credit for hiring certain employees. This is at the federal level. The state level. I showed you the local level earlier. Grants and loans to sell fresh vegetables in certain areas. We have what they call food deserts now. So if you want to start up a vegetable store or stand or something like that, there's money for that. $50,000 to improve your manufacturing business. So you're making something. Maybe, like I know in Brooklyn is becoming big manufacturing. They're making robots and all kinds of stuff over there. Loans to build manufacturing facilities. $10,000 for each job you create. Wow, see, this is what it's about. This is why the government wants to help you, because if you create a job and generate money for that person, then they don't have to pay money to that person who's unemployed or something like that. So it costs the government money if people aren't working. Money to buy equipment for machinery to make your manufacturing business more efficient. $5 million to great businesses in metropolitan areas. That's where you are. $7,000 loans in high-risk businesses with less than $100,000 sales. Wow, so you're just starting out, you're obviously high risk, and you obviously don't have $100,000 in sales yet. Sounds like something for you, doesn't it? Okay, that's the Micro Enterprise Loan Fund. Okay, up to $750 investment fund for women and entrepreneurs. That's right, the government's not only giving loans and grants, man, they're investing in business, become partners. Here's money for my women and minority-owned businesses, more of that. $35,000 in working capital loans for women and minorities. $50,000 grants for new farmers. Right, maybe you want to start urban farming in the Bronx, or go out 100 miles or an hour or two and start a farm, making something, because a lot of money in that fresh vegetables. All the yuppie restaurants want all that fresh stuff. Money for nonprofit and for-profit or working capital loans for businesses with less than 100 employees. See, they still consider that small. I think mom and pop, above the grocery store, but no, it's 100 employees. Grants to local communities that fix up businesses and homes. That's right. So this is good for real estate people too. Small business loans up to $125,000. Now, why they have so many things? Isn't it amazing? You think they have one thing that covers it all. No, loans for $20,000 to $200,000. A small business that get government contracts. Wow, that's right. This is money if you're getting government contracts. Later on, I'll show you how to get government contracts, because you can get government contracts on anything. And there's free help to do that. Free mentors for entrepreneurs. Check this out. This is the one. If you're starting out, you want to check this one, because this is like free help. You call them up. Hey, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I know I want to start this kind of business. Who can help me there? And they'll find somebody. That's what they're there for. Okay, more money, $70,000 to $200,000 for women and minority government contractors. See, again, that contracting. The government gives out more money in contracts than anything else. Financial and technical assistance to get bonded. So you're looking for that. Capital access programs, that gives you money cheaper than the bank will. Free technical help for environmental projects. Free help to export your products and services. That's right. Grants and tax credits for filmmakers. $500,000 for venture capital to start your business. 2% interest rate reduction on business loans. So you get it lower than the banks, 2%. That means the government's kicking in. That's right. Okay, special help for wine, beer, and spirits businesses. I guess that's something to get drunk on, is it? Get in the spirits business. Or even cider, hard cider. Increase money incentives to if your business in certain areas. Nonprofits can take over abandoned and vacant property for free for redevelopment. So you see something that's going to waste there, and you say, hey, this is a good place for a bowling alley or something like that. You work with a local nonprofit and you get it for nothing. $100,000 to develop a good idea, or $5 million for a new company. That's right. These are grants and investments. So they'll give you $100,000 to work on your idea, develop more, and then up to $5 million to make that a company. Help in getting contracts from state and local government. I'll tell you more about that. Money to help sell overseas. That's right. There's more of that stuff. New York pays part of your rent in the World Trade Center. $500,000 support jobs and entrepreneurs in Buffalo. I don't think you're in Buffalo, so don't worry. I just thought that was sort of interesting. Working capital and fixed asset loans up to $20,000 for businesses with less than 50 employees. I forgot to make that bold, so that I can make that bold now. Oh, there it is. Okay. Investment funding in early stage high-tech companies. I mean, they're investing, millions of dollars in this. $20,000 to $50,000 for women minority-owned businesses with transportation-related government contracts. Grants to train your new employees. That's right, grants just for train your employees. Get up to $4,800 to hire certain employees. We talked about another one locally. There's one, $2,000 for disabilities, $5,000 for hiring a worker with disabilities. Or here, you want to sell your goods and services overseas, $5,000 to do that. And there I have a video on that program. So you can watch the lady who runs the program and learn how real that is. Now here's something, if you're a manufacturer, any kind of really business they'd really do, they'll come out for half a day and evaluate. These are consultants. They don't charge a whole lot, but they'll give you half a day for free, which they say is worth about $5,000 to evaluate your business and see how you could improve it. Man, it doesn't get better than that. You're going to go somewhere else, and I have a video of that. The person who does that, you can see. That's why I'm trying to eliminate, the skepticism that we all have about government programs. It's real, and you can use this stuff. Okay, now let's, we're going to go on to page 2 or the second part. I'll give you a breather now. And don't forget to watch the first video about how to treat people when you contact them. And that's the important about all this, what you do, how to follow up on these things. And that's what the video. Okay, take a breather and come back and watch part 2. Okay, well, this is part 2 of getting money to help us start or expand any kind of business. And in part 1, we covered local government programs, nonprofit organizations, and state government programs, and there's a bunch there. But here, I think we're going to cover some federal programs and also now the internet stuff, which I think is the big opportunity, for everybody nowadays. And I think it's probably going to grow more. It's more exciting. It's easier, faster, and everything. But let me tell you about what's going on in the rural areas. If you like small towns, man, the government's trying to start businesses in small towns. So that's from the Department of Agriculture. And they have a whole bunch of grant programs and help to do that. So I give you a local office there, who to contact, even if you're in Bronx now, but you can move out, right? And start your business, in a smaller town in the area. So there's the information and all of them. There's grants, loans, loan guarantees, and everything there. And here, the next one is how to get an SBA loan. So many people, if you Google this, there are all these people who sell you stuff, and I did a video on this, and I did an interview of a person who gives out the loan, a person who got the loan. Watch those 2 videos, and you'll see that you don't need anybody. You don't have to hire anybody to do that. The first thing, because it's all about going to the right banks that know your business. So if the bank doesn't know your business, they don't know what the hell is going on. They think it's a risk, and you'll go by. So that wastes time. But see, if you go to the right offices, that first video will show you how to find the banks that really know your business and could relate to you. And that's how you get these loans done. And then there's a bank officer, and she tells you the story about all the myths about getting government contracts. And you don't have to hire some high-priced consultant to do this, okay? That's the one thing I'm trying to get through. Okay, government contracts. Now, this is something people don't realize. Man, the government gives out more in contracts than they do in grants or loans or anything else to businesses. And this is why, 90%, 99% probably of all the big companies in the country get contracts. And not only contract, you could get jobs. Really freelance jobs from the government this way. You could get grants from the government this way. You could get sell things to the government. That's what a contract is. You could be a freelancer. You could be a nonprofit. You could be a business. You could be just on your kitchen table like I am here and do IT work, develop websites or edit paper documents for them or draw things for them, be a freelance cartoonist, on your kitchen table. I mean, my sister frames stuff for the government, like all the little wars. I mean, she does $1 million out of her garage, somewhere in the middle of Virginia, And that's what I think is and see, when you learn this, it's forever. You learn how to get a grant, it's one time. You won't get another one probably. Well, maybe you will, but not likely it. But you learn the contract system, it's over and over and over again. So you got meat for a long time. Okay, now there's also grant money that the government has to give you to learn how to get their contract money. Now, isn't that bizarre? They're giving you money to figure out how to get money from them. That's true. That's what it is. And there's the laws are all complicated in the world. Who wants to understand them? You just want to use them. You're trying to get by. Yeah, like we all do. And that's what's important. Then they give grants to experts in government contracting to help you for free. So there's people all over the country who are there sitting in offices, like the Maytag repairman, waiting to help you. You don't even know who the Maytag repairman is. I'm so old. It's an ad from 50 years ago probably. But I show you how to find that office locally. I've got videos here of people who are these people experts. I got videos here of people who just give contracts to small businesses, and that's his job. And I'll tell you, you don't need anybody, and you can get certified as a small business, as a woman, as a veteran, or whatever, without hiring any, expert and charging any money. And all three of these videos tell you all about that and how to do it. I give you the contact in your area, where to go, make an appointment, sign up, and see how they can help you. Okay, now here's another thing that's happening now: incubators, accelerators, and meetups. I mean, it's all because of the internet, that this is going on now. And incubators and accelerators, I mean, all these words are changed and nobody knows the pure definition, but they're people who help new businesses. So an incubator, an accelerator, usually incubators don't give you money. Accelerators are the same as incubators, but they'll give you money too. Well, that's not true all the time either, but basically, so they call themselves that. Shared office spaces are they give you office space, they give you consulting help, they give you experts to hang around, to help you with any phase of this, what's going on, and they offer money. That's why a lot of them will give you like 50 grand to start, things like this. And so I have an article here you should check into. These are all the big ones in your area. And it costs nothing. It costs something to get the money, and they'll probably interview you to see if the kind of business that they're interested in helping. That's what that's about. And then I have videos. Now here's a video of an accelerator that's from France. They'll give you $100,000 if you have a new business idea about food. They'll fly you to France and help grow your business in their incubator in France and give you 100 grand to start with too. Wow, that's not neat. Here's another one. This young guy, he had zero money. He found a business incubator. They gave him $25,000 and all the free help he needed to start his business. Here's another guy. He was working full time, did this part time. He got $25,000 from a local government accelerator, in Baltimore, and was able to start his new business that way on the side while he still has his regular boring job. Okay, meetups. Now, meetups I think are very important now because, see, whatever. I mean, you're thinking about a business, you have a new idea for it, but you haven't been there before. So to talk to somebody who's been there, to get any kind of expertise, you want to get it free, and this is a way. If you want to invest in real estate, you could go to real estate meetups. And so you have people been doing this for years, are all gathering around having drinks for dinner, and all it costs you is $20 for a lousy meal or something like that. And you're invited. See, that's what's neat about it. Before, you had to go to a country club or something, or hire a consultant at thousands of dollars. But no, that's what's needed. So go to that meetup link and you'll see, you put in, what are you looking for? Like careers in business is the most likely one. You put in Bronx or wherever you are, and you're looking for meetup groups within 5 miles, 10 miles, 50 miles. And you'll get dozens, hundreds maybe on that. Okay, now here I also give a list of about 8 small business grants that are around all over. And most of these to me, I think, are shams, because there's some big company like FedEx that's giving out $25,000. $25,000 to FedEx is pocket money for one of the executives. It's nothing, but they get $1 million of publicity, that they're doing this, so they could attract small businesses to use FedEx, right? So you think, oh, FedEx is good, stuff like that. So I think that's why most of these people do this, is they get a hell of a lot more out of publicity than they do in the money or in how much they're giving out in money. So they should take all that, the other money they're spending on publicity, give that to people if they're really concerned. Okay, now here's the pièce de résistance about what's going on the internet is crowdfunding. I mean, look at the data here, what's going on in crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a place, if you don't know, it's where you put your idea out there. You don't even have to have it made yet, nothing. People say, hey, that's a good idea. I'll give you money to do it. It's incredible. It's like you go into Macy's and say, Macy's says, oh, we don't have this sweater yet, but it's going to be orange and it's going to be really nice, and just give me $100 now and come back next year and you'll get it. People are doing that on crowdfunding. Look here, in 2013, it was $6 billion worth of this going on. Then it went up to $16 billion. Last year was already $34 billion. It's growing exponentially. Why is this cool? Because number one, it's free. It costs nothing to do. There are no income requirements. There's no credit check. You keep the money forever. There's no complicated forms or lawyers or accountants or whatever. You just have to describe what you're doing. It's fast. It takes 30 to 60 days and you get the money. You don't have to put up with fat cat gatekeepers. You go to venture capitalists or like even, publishers in New York. If you write about a book and they say, oh, nobody's going to buy that. They don't know. They're guessing. And fat cats really don't know. All they got is money. Not that smart. You've worked for enough to know that. But they keep the dough. So here, the people tell you, and the people are the ones who are going to use it. So that's a better judge if this is successful or not than some fat cat gatekeeper. So you're more guaranteed the ultimate success. So if it costs nothing, you can go back. It's better, faster way to prove if your idea is great or not. So if nobody's interested, then give you money, then it's not an interesting idea, right? And you go back to the drawing boards and think of something else. And that's what life is about nowadays. Life is about getting out there and failing. I mean, we're all scientists in the lab trying to experiment something. Hey, maybe this will work, maybe that will work. We're like crazy scientists trying to make something happen for us in life. We don't know what worked, but we got to keep trying. Like Thomas Edison and his light bulb. He did 1,000 different ways. So that's what we have to do with life. I try 1,000 different things, but we can't spend money on them or we'll be broke after the 10th one. So this is a way to keep going. Plus it's a place, what's amazing to me, it's a place where you can get more money than you asked for. Imagine the bank doing that. Oh, I want $10,000. No, Lesko, you should get $100,000. Well, okay, I have a video here on trips. You want to run a crowdfunding campaign? Watch that video. Get interested in this again because it's going to be here for a long time. It's new, and see, when things are new, you don't need experience because nobody knows for sure. In 5 years, you need a PhD in this stuff to do it. Like that's when I talk computers back in the 70s. I was teaching a class at one college and taking the same class at another college, so I just keep my students a week behind. There was no other people to teach it. So I was the best they could get. So I had all these samples, and people quit their job. People make $1 million doing it. People start with nothing, and wind up with $90,000 in 30 days. A woman, a blogger, she decides to start a blog and gets $11,000, write a cookbook. Bartender gets $10,000. Here's the secrets asking for $23,000 and gets $556,000. Or here, just get travel expenses. This is a way to your business to get extra money to do stuff. You could go on a crowdfunding site, get extra money, say, hey, I want a new espresso machine for my coffee shop, and I go do a crowdfunding campaign. So you market your business. You're marketing your coffee shop by raising money, see? And if you do it in the community, man, that's you have a reason, to let people know you're there, because you're raising money to make your product better, and that's what's cool. So they could come in next time and say, yeah, see, I helped pay for that thing. And that's cool. And that's what's neat. So you see all these people here who did it for little things in a business, big things in a business. Somebody needs an office space. Somebody's starting a consulting business and they raise money that way. See, it's everything. And here what's interesting about crowdfunding is women are better at it than men. That's right. Women get twice as much money as men are getting because, see, when you go out and try to get money from like venture capital and things like that, it's mostly men giving out the money, right? And it's actually in venture capital, 90% of venture capitalists are men. So guess what? 90% of the money given out goes to men. It's actually 95. I slip a tongue there. But so it's all going to men practically because it's all coming from men. Crowdfunding is different. Say almost half the people giving money in crowdfunding are women. So guess what? They're actually doing better because head on with the normal population segment, they do better, just like in everything. Aren't they better at school than we were? So now they're better at doing this. That's typical. We just think we're better. Okay, now here's another thing. Know about non-traditional loans. Kiva, that's a place. I actually, at Greming Bank, I have them up in the first set because you have a local office there. 0% interest. Where the hell are you going to get that? Now here's our crowdfunding loans. These other organizations are people that you're looking for a loan, and instead of go in the bank and they charge you 12% for the loan or whatever, these things, what happened, people invest in the website. They'll say you want $5,000 for your new espresso machine or whatever. So they give you $100, and they're getting like 3% interest on it. Now, if they could put that $100 in the bank, they'd only get 1% if they're lucky, right? But they're getting 3% here. And when you borrow from them, you pay only 7% or something instead of going to the bank, and you pay 11% or whatever. So everybody wins except Wall Street, right? Now, isn't that cool? So that's what I see this has to grow, right? If so many more people, and we're getting rid of that fat in the middle. And also here, there's one, a lot of them see you don't need credit checks even. Here's one that gives out money to people as long as they have customers. They don't care what your financials are or anything, as long as you're customers, then they give you money. That's right. It's a whole new way of doing business, and the traditional experts and consultants and everything aren't used to it yet, so they're not going to know about it until it's over or until it's now so big it becomes bureaucratic again. Okay, crowdfunding with accredited investors. These are separate crowdfunding sites where if you're a fat cat, you're making $200,000 or more a year, you can invest in businesses. But you as a business could put your business on these sites, and investors say, hey, that's a good idea, I'll invest it. So maybe it's real estate business, maybe you got a hip new bar you want to do or whatever. Because there's so much fat cat money rolling around out there, they don't know what to do with it. So everybody people with money think they're brilliant, so that they think they can pick out the next Facebook or whatever, and they're looking for money to put there. Okay, here, angel investors. This is another interesting thing too. These are investors really at the startup, and they're also in a barrel. The internet put them all in a barrel. Now there's websites like angel.co, like for New York, there's 15,000 angel investors in New York. I mean, any city, there's 7,000 that I've looked at here that you see they want to invest in small businesses in that city. Okay, so you got 7,000 people, but you know where they are. You can contact them all here. Looking for investors. You have a film project. You have a disco you want to do, or a wine bar, or something like that. Here's where to find these people. That's what's neat about it. And if you need help in packaging what you have, you go up the business development centers, and those other nonprofits will help you do all that for free. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay, and I hear money from your congressman. That's right. They will help you more than anybody, because they want you to succeed. So if you're starting a business, remember your elected official. I show you how to get a hold of your elected official. And I name them all here for you. And you just contact them. I have a video here that shows you why and how to use them. I've interviewed with people who worked in congressman and senator's office. I tell you why. Because this is how they get elected. See, like right now, Congress has like a approval rating of 2 above plant life. Actually, I heard today that people would rather have teeth extraction or head lice than their congressmen. I mean, those 2 things are better than Congress, they feel. But the why they stay in business, because they help somebody for free. And you call them up, you have problems with a government agency getting money, or just anything, paying a bill, anything, call them up and see. They want to help. Now here I put something from a senator's office. Look at it. She has this free grant guide. Look at, you're looking for a grant on any of these things, for small business, for, affordable housing, or anything, general grants, green energy and clear technology. I'm dying to, she's not in my district, but every congressman has those. So this is a form you fill out, you send it to them, and they send you the information or help you. Call the other one. Then here's they have caseworkers. See, and this is from the senator's office too, that describes how they do. If you have encountered a problem involving a federal government agency or federally submitted benefit that you are not able to successfully resolve, Senator staff will help assist you in the following area: unemployment issues, consumer affairs, immigrations, veterans, IRS issues, military issues, healthcare, Social Security, social services, all those. See, they could call someone in a backdoor office of that government office and get it solved in no time at all. You and I have to wait in the front doors, because see, they are the ones that give all the agencies money. You and I pay for it, but we don't decide who gets the money. It's Congress does. That's why every government office has a special office to help Congress, because that's who pays their bills. And they want to make them happy when it comes to budget time. And that's right. But see, you have power for the congressman, because your one vote will make sure they are in job. So if they get you that 50 grand for your business or whatever it is, you'll vote for that son of a gun no matter what they do.